So Blair Speedy from The Australian, bad news for Myer today.
It's not a great result. It's around about what the market was expecting in terms of numbers. It's about the profit figure is about 3% below what consensus earnings were. But what's really got people concerned is the outlook. Bernie Brooks, the CEO, has said things are still quite patchy. Consumers are worried, and they're just not spending.
So what's been the drag on Myer?
Things fell off a bit of a cliff in May. Myer isn't the only retailer to talk about this on the discretionary side. The budget really got people worried. He said that you could see it the day after. There was just a clamp down in spending. And it's come back to some extent, but not a lot. And to combat that during the fourth quarter, Myer had to increase the amount of discounts they were doing. Of course, everybody else was doing the same, and he described a sort of pricing spiral that went down as you were chasing fewer and fewer sales. So that hurt them in the fourth quarter, and things haven't come back a lot since then. He says people are still worried about unemployment, about rising interest rates, about the threat of higher taxes, and that's an ongoing drag.
So obviously whenever we talk about department stores in Australia, there is a duopoly, and people have been quick to compare this result to DJs who, although they have suffered, they haven't been hit as badly by, say, the budget. What do you think explains the fact that they've had better numbers this year?
Well, that's quite right. DJs, this is the third quarter in which DJs has beat Myer on comparable sales. That's sales from existing stores, so stripping out any benefit of store openings or the impact of closures. DJs has now beaten them three quarters in a row on that. Of course, DJs was being taken over in the fourth quarter. So they were pulling every lever they could to make sure that they got decent sales numbers, to make sure that the company buying them, Woolworths of South Africa, didn't say, hang on, what's happening here, and possibly derail the bid. So you've got to take DJ's numbers with a grain of salt. Of course, we're never going to see any more numbers from DJs now that they're owned by a South African company. They don't need to report separate earnings for what DJs is doing, so they're in a bit of a black box now. We'll probably get some detail, but much less than we would have otherwise. So Bernie Brooks will probably be quite happy not to have that comparison made every time he comes out with sales numbers.
So although he has a monkey off his back in that respect, there is a significant mess to fix here. This has now been 4 years in a row of falling profits. Is there any indication that this might be the end, or are people expecting 5 in a row in 12 months' time?
It's difficult to say, and Bernie's made the point that they're investing very hard in competing with the internet and with their local competitors and the international players that are coming in, people like Zara, people like Uniqlo, Topshop. One analyst, though, pointed out that they're spending an enormous amount of money. It equated to almost a third of EBIT the financial year just gone, just to stand still. Sales aren't picking up, they're flat. However, Bernie says we're seeing the fruit of that come through this financial year. He says 100 million in sales will be added from the internet and from store refurbishments. Of course, the internet sales, some of that will undoubtedly come as poaching from in-store sales. It's shoppers migrating from buying in-store to online. So there's not really you can't really call that incremental sales. However, if they weren't doing it online, somebody else would. They've got to work much harder just to stand still.
And just finally, obviously there is almost endless speculation about takeovers at this point. Is there any hint as to what today's results might mean for Myer in that case?
Myer could be a takeover target. It is a large company, though. I mean, you're talking about a portfolio of around 60 stores. It would be a big swallow for any buyer. Also, not all the stores are in great locations. An international retailer coming to Australia wants to be in Sydney and Melbourne. After that, it'll look at Brisbane, Adelaide and Perth. It doesn't really want a store in Wagga. So there's not many buyers out there that will be interested in Myer. Solomon Lew, of course, looks at every retail asset in Australia and is always rumoured to be a buyer for anything that comes up for sale. So who knows, maybe he could make a bid. But it's not a small business. It would be a big ask.
Fantastic. Blair Speedy, thanks very much.